Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 314 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. All right, so we're continuing our series that we started last week. If you haven't listened to episode 312, go back and take a listen to that. I told you my story of where everything has come from, why I talk about what I talk about all the time on this podcast, which is making you as bloggers think of yourselves as business owners, because that is exactly what you are. And when you start treating yourself that way, that is when it actually happens. That's when you start to scale. You start to be able to see more income coming in, and you're able to do more in your business for others because of that, including yourself and your family. So what we are going to do over the course of the next weeks is we're going to work through being that influencer entrepreneur. Last week, we talked about making sure that if you haven't already downloaded the workbook, that you do so. So you can go to jennymelrose.com/influencer entrepreneurs and grab that workbook. You can also, if you haven't already, grab the book, because the book is going to go even deeper than I can with you, and you will have it to go back to. So that is all linked there on that page. Again, you can always send me a DM on Instagram and I can send it directly to you so that you have the link. But today we are going to work through the first piece of the PAC framework. So in my book, I have a PAC framework that is the 4-step process for building your audience, growing your business, and making money online. Today, we're going to start to focus on that P, which is positioning. And we're really going to start to talk about how you can see yourself as being unique. Because the purpose of position is to leverage your unique strengths amongst your competitors in your industry. You have to be able to figure out a way to stand out. There are millions of blogs. There are now tons and tons of influencers on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the different social media platforms, and they're going to continue to grow. Because in 2020, when I first wrote my book, TikTok didn't exist. It wasn't even a thing yet. So as we continue to move forward, there are going to be other social media platforms that are going to bring newer, younger, different niched types of influencers. So you have to know how to uniquely stand out. And the only way you can do this is to figure out what makes you unique. Who are you? So the exercise that I want you to do inside your workbook is to write it down. Tell me your story. I told you mine last week. I talked to you about how I did door-to-door sales, how I then went back and got my teaching degree and taught in front of inner city school district kids where I dodged chairs rather than just having to dodge questions that I didn't know the answers to. Instead, I took my background of the door-to-door sales, I took my education background, and here I am now teaching women how to influence rather than feeling like they are selling. Because that's all that sales is. Sales, honestly, is just being able to influence somewhere in a direction. You make a connection with them, they decide if they know, like, and trust you, and then they decide to purchase or not. Whether it is a cute coat, or it is going to a different store or going to dinner. You influence your friends all the time, going out to dinner, finding the next movie that you want to watch together. Husband, partner, same thing. You're influencing them all the time. So think about it that way rather than feeling as if when you go to sell that you're that sleazy car salesman, because that's not what you are. You're just influencing them to find a different look for them or to find a unique DIY idea to be able to do in their house rather than the one that they've done. And this is especially true if you have products and services, because if you have products and services, I guarantee you it is solving a problem for someone, and you have to know how you can position that. So first and foremost, we're going to start by positioning yourself. What makes you unique? I want you to write down your whole story, even the little itty bitty pieces about your family, your business, your educational background. Everything comes together to make you who you are. I can tell you this. I talk in the book about one of my former clients who was a homeschooling mom of 9 kids that tried to tell me that she was like every other mom that had kids. And I looked at her and I said, no. I can't even imagine having 9 kids and then having to homeschool them. You are like a superwoman to me. And on top of that, you can teach me how to budget and buy groceries for like $450 for the entire month for a family of 11. So we're not the same. You are very unique. If anything, I would like to say I'm the one that's not unique in this partnership here. But I want you to be able to look at that and figure that out. What sets you apart from everyone else? So as you're going and writing this all down in your workbook, where it says, that very first page says, who are you? I want you to tell me your whole story. I want you to tell me from your background, from your family, however you feel like it's important, has impacted you as a person. Inside my book, I talk about my background with being a college athlete. I talk about the fact that I played basketball and field hockey in college and basketball. I'm only 5'4". I am not a tall basketball player, but being that introvert that I shared last week, it was really hard for me to come out of my shell. And it also forced me, as young as elementary age and high school age, to become more extroverted and to get past being such an introvert so that I could improve my skills and be around other people. That's part of my story. That's part of what made me into who I am today. And I want you to tell me that portion of your stories as well. So go to your workbook and I want you to write down exactly who you are. Tell me your background, tell me your family, tell me your educational, so that we can take a look and see where we can find your unique positioning. Because if the other thing and way in which you can do this is I also want you to ask friends and family, if you feel stuck and you want to get started and you feel like I want to move forward and answer this, ask them. What do you think I'm known for? What do I do? How do I help you? When you think of me, what's one word that comes to mind? And see what they say. And maybe that'll spark something in you to go, yeah, I guess I am really a teacher. That was always something for me, as every one of my students would always say after they took a course from me, is that you're a teacher. You can tell you're a teacher. You go step by step. You bring us back. You make sure that we understand it. And then you continue to move us forward. You don't skip steps. You're not jumping all around so that we don't understand where we're going. We know what journey we were on with you, and we're going to get results because of that, because I take you from A to Z without skipping anything in between. So knowing that about yourself is important. You guys, make sure if you haven't already, go to jennymelrose.com/influencer entrepreneurs, download the free workbook. And if you haven't already grabbed the book, it is on Amazon. It'll get shipped right to your door, and you can dive further into all of the examples that I give inside of the book so that you better understand how to make sure that you are filling out that workbook so that it makes sense for you. As always, I appreciate you guys so much. If you do already have the book, leave me a rating and review on Amazon. I would so appreciate it. And if you haven't already left a rating review on the podcast, on your favorite podcasting app, I would appreciate that as well. It just helps to get great guests like we've had over the last almost, craziness, 6 years. 6 years in January 2023 will be 6 years for this podcast. So I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, I will see you all then.